Zoom, perfect. Okay, so we're just about to get started. Um, Chiefly, what we are the main sort of item on the agenda for today for discussion and maybe some decision making from this group will be and what I've understood from Sheridan was that last call, the last profiling call, the group went through some potential invariants to apply and troubleshooting some of them. Um, I guess a post to chat.fire.org yielded some response which they felt was an improvement, and folks have felt that it was an improvement. And I guess we want to see if we want to apply that invariant in a different location as well. Sheridan's very helpfully prepped some context and really kind of framed it up. So I'm really just here to kind of talk us through it. Um, yeah, we just sort of have some context and some questions to pose to the group. Um, so again, noting here, um, we there are some alternative approaches that were posted here. And that Brian P. responded with a more streamlined option that passes all of the tests to date. One of the things, just and maybe what I can do in case that's helpful, I recognize people cannot click on my thing there. I will post that in chat in case anyone wants that for reference. The actual chat.fire.org topic. One thing I was also asked just to let folks know, I've just put it in the chat now. Um, is that if you actually want to see that test play out, you would want to use that link, go to the Zulip page, and then click the test fire path link. So that's if anyone is curious and wants to test that out. But fundamentally, the decision that wanted to have the group discuss today, firstly, that was what you see here is the invariant to troubleshoot, the recommendation provided, and as well as the options. So really the main one is, do we want to pursue either of these options, notably the one that targets both value and component dot value?
Oh.
Anyone who was part of the initial conversation and sort of work around this a couple weeks ago, please also just jump in if there's anything about the setup or the context here that you feel needs to be corrected, or anything like that. Anything we're missing in terms of context around this particular topic? Just wanting to make sure if there's anything, and there's going to be some limitations in what I can provide, but just want to make sure I'm doing whatever I can to help us for with this topic. Um, Maybe just another
I
question for folks. Oh, sorry, I cut someone off. Please go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if folks felt that it would be helpful if I pulled up the actual conversation on chat.fire.org to do that as well.
Sure.
Okay.
And I think Brian's solution is quite elegant, quite simple, and worth us pursuing, adopting. Um, yeah.
Okay. And Elliot, from that, in terms of um the second two bullets here, so Brian's recommendation and then the other option, which of those was the one you were thinking of in terms of the option as sort of a fix?
Hmm. The one that targets both.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Anyone else from the group have a specific perspective on this, either in alignment with that or anything else? Okay. Um, okay. Well, Elliot, maybe could I just ask for a bit of a reminder in terms of actually sort of recording these decisions? Is this one where there is the formal like voting process, or is this not the type of topic where that would be required?
I believe there's a ticket for this. And so we should probably, if we're agreeing on a solution, move and second on the ticket.
Okay. Um, Alrighty. So, with that in mind, like I guess, yeah, folks, like, is this the right time? Do we feel like we have the input we need to to align on this decision? I'm just wanting to just check with folks to see if we feel like there's anything that's missing.
I personally think we've spent way too many sessions on this topic. So I'd be
Okay.
happy to move ahead and yeah, dispatch
Okay.
it.
Alrighty. So and again, Elliot, not to overly prevail on your on your help with this in terms of the actual process of moving through for calling something and then motioning. Do you mind
If you
just
bring, do you
sorry?
want to bring up the ticket?
Okay, and is that part of on Simplifier?
Yeah.
Okay. Just give me a second. Second. Sorry, just looking for the right window to share. Apologies. Sorry about this, folks. It's gonna be a hard time. Okay, there we go. Um, Alrighty, so am I correct in terms of going to issues for this?
Yes.
Okay. Hmm, hmm. Would this be it wouldn't be I'm just looking for the correct one here.
2493 perhaps?
Errors and invariants. So the last comment
Not
was 6 months ago.
perhaps not. Or perhaps Sheridan picked one of these out, and that was the one we were looking at. Okay, baseline issues.
I'm just seeing if there's any further variant troubleshooting. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, and sorry about this, folks. I'm just not sure where to bring us with this. In terms of what ticket to take us to. Is it necessary to bring this one up to do to make that formal decision on direction for it?
No, just I mean, I wouldn't object to just agreeing, and you know, Sheridan can put the note in the appropriate issue when she actually goes to apply it.
Okay. Well, I can bring us back just to the deck then. Um, okay. So am I okay um to call this one then in terms of calling for um
Well, you need a mover and a seconder with a motion first.
okay.
Well, just before that, I just want to follow up Elliot, his question there, as what I recalled. For this question, if you go back to the Zulu that stream there, it does mention actually in the first question that posted by Sheridan there, mentioned she did mention that actually with this condition is a value dot exist should be provided in that manner. So I assume that it is the first part before the implies, and Brian only provide the second part after implies. That's my understanding based on the that the, that thread being shared by Mike.
Uh, no, I don't think so.
If that's the
Okay, let me
case,
just look at
yeah.
what he gave us.
If we treated Brian's proposal, this expression as a whole, then my understanding, just my personal understanding, we changed the uh, precondition.
I I think okay, so let's Brian's let me just double check here. Okay, so I've just pasted in Brian's suggestion. And so what the way I read this, it the way I read what this is doing is it's going through and collecting all component values and all values, of which there's only going to be one, um, that are of type quantity. And so it puts those in a collection and then asserts that for all of those, they have a system of UCOM. And so if it doesn't exist, if there's nothing matching that, then it's an empty um, uh, list, empty set, and it doesn't trigger the second half. No, it does. They all of the none meet that criteria, and so that's what we want.
Well, if I understand the shirt in her post at the very beginning, she talked about the quantity dot value, not the observation dot value or observation dot component dot value. That's my understanding.
But there's no such thing as quantity. Yeah. it's value quantity. It's not quantity dot value. So the way Brian's got it laid out is correct.
Well, there
Yeah.
is a quantity dot value, which is the value of the quantity. But
So we are at value dot quantity dot value.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. But I think what we're looking for is the observation dot value or component dot value, and then value dot quantity dot system.
Well, if you look at Sharon, her very first posting to trigger this question, and I think that expression she posted, if it's treated as a truth, then it does mention of type quantity dot value, because besides the value and the quantity, we do have I think another string, sorry, the value, another element actually will provide some description in that matter.
Mike, could you bring up the chat so
Yeah,
we can all
sure.
look at it?
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah. And if you look at it, the quantity data type, they do, besides the value, they do have a code. They do have a unit and sorry, unit besides. And if it is code there, I'm not sure that's the things or not. But that's my understanding. Quantity dot value is the precondition to trigger the expression. Existence of the quantity dot value. But maybe I'm wrong, but just for information here.
Well, if you can go further up. Okay, so Sheridan, keep going.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
There we go. So Sheridan posts something, and this is Thomas, where you're getting the um,
Yep.
Quantity dot value.
Yep.
And this is what she says. This is what we're trying to do, and Brian summarizes it and says, "Is the basic idea that anytime there's a component of type value quantity, warn if the system isn't UCOM." Sheridan gives a thumbs up. So we're not actually bound to. We have to be checking that the quantity dot value exists. That was just how we were figuring out that is there a value quantity, right? I don't think the value of type quantity dot value dot exists is a prerequisite for this. I think that's how we were figuring out, is there a component of type quantity in there? And so Brian's said, hey, you're complicating the issue. If all you're really interested in is that if there is a value quantity, we want to make sure that the system's UCOM, then, as far as I understand it, that is what we're trying to do. And so he says, here's a simple bit of code that will do that.
This maybe I'm wrong because actually when I my recollection just when we talk about that JSON code about observation, we start from dot quantity dot value. That's where we start point. And if we go to maybe we think, as you mentioned, Brian just not only provide a solution but also poke to that where we maybe think, as you mentioned, we think too much. I think too much maybe in that matter. Sorry, in that matter, I think
Yeah.
he doesn't only he's not only just provide a solution, but also help us simplify the question as well. That's the point I can take. Thank you.
Yeah, I think he gave us a simpler approach. I mean, I guess we could, if people are more comfortable, we could run the FHIR path example if that would, help people. But I think what Brian's suggesting is correct.
And another things I observed here, Brian provide start from component, which is actually the underlayer of observation. If that's case, my understanding, the location, sorry, sorry for that. The the position, sorry, the position of expressions of this expression start from observation dot. That's where it started.
Yeah, this invariant would be on at the top level of the profile. And I think the observation is redundant, but I could be wrong about that.
I think you're correct. But because the invariant is already on the observation.
I mean, only within each observation instance only apply, not across the border, go through multiple observations if that's the scenario.
Yeah, no, I don't think it does that.
Yeah, if that's confirmed, that's okay. We may make sure if it tested, we want to have a description, make sure the test only limited in the one, each, the scope is only limited to the each observation-based FHIR data instance.
That's kind of to do with where we place the invariant.
At least I know there's some environment go to the bundle level.
Yes, but that's you have to specifically code it to go at that level. In this case, the invariant is part of our profile on observation specifically.
And in that manner, I think it's Edit or Lauren, you mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, when you put this expression just under the observation, not go to the specific value dot value quantum or quantity, whatever, just under the observation. That's my understanding.
Well,
And I think that's the what I call it location, which is we go through the profiling conformance when we hit the observation dot, and then this expression will be triggered for a process.
yes, because this is the observation profile.
Just wondering, as we're discussing this, are folks feeling like we have sufficient information to like eventually, like again, it's not meant to rush anyone, but to arrive at a decision, or is anyone feeling like we lack certain context or additional information? I just wanted to get a gauge on this for folks if folks are still feeling like we're sort of making our way through this.
I'd agree with Elliot. This one question has been, spending so much time. I would say wrap up as quickly as possible.
Okay. Okay.
So you're happy with the fire path that Brian suggested?
I do actually, besides, I do hope that we can put more descriptions regarding the location of the expression and the starting position of the expression, as well as where we recommend the tester of the implementer, a future a possible implementer, where they should start to utilize expression for the testing, for the conformance testing, and the manner put inside our, how to say, the conclusion.
Want to propose some text for the motion and paste it in the chat?
I will try.
Awesome. And just to clarify, folks, once that proposed descriptive text is put in the chat, the motion is toward the second option, correct?
The third bullet on the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I lost connection. I'm not hearing anybody. Just checking my audio.
No
We're
problem.
just waiting for Thomas's proposal.
Okay, yeah, I no longer have this.
Sorry, what was that, Lorraine?
Oh, I no longer have the screen when my connection dropped. Reconnected. I didn't get.
Oh,
I might
okay.
have to go out and come back in.
Okay, gotcha. Great. Thanks
Sorry,
for
just
posting that, Thomas.
the segment may not just need to review to make sure it's clear or understandable because just a couple seconds. Sorry.
Is anyone has anyone or sorry, let me ask, does anyone still need to take a look at what Thomas has posted in here? For those who have read it, any concerns?
Thomas, what would you like done with that sentence? Paragraph.
Sorry.
You've pasted that text, but
Yeah.
are you asking for that text to be added somewhere
Well,
or?
yeah, as a description, this is only draft, and I need the audience here to give a quick, review this to share your opinion, maybe something not clear about this description, the text, and then if it's possible, the revision version of this text can be put as a description of attached to the solution or decision. That's
All right,
only
let me try
only
that again. Do we want this text or some variant of it to go into the invariant? Or
not
do we
invariant
want this?
description.
Let me finish. Do we want this text or some invariant of it or some variant of it to go into the constraint as the description of the constraint? Or are we asking for this text to be tacked onto the issue as a note for people who look at the issue?
I think we will get a conclusion. Is that right?
Sorry, what?
Thomas, to me, it makes the most sense if we put it with the issue. So could you say again what you just said?
Sorry. My understanding is we would like to make a conclusion of this question, right? In that manner, in that conclusion, we'll see, okay, we have reviewed this issue, then here's the outcome. In that manner, we say we will endorse Brian's and expression, proposed expression, FHIR path expression, and also with that expression, the context like this, with this expression might need to put the location expression may under the each observation and the starting position or scope of this expression that could trigger this expression to be the validation of this expression to be triggered is just below each observation instance. Is that what? That's what I want to
Okay,
say. Yeah.
yeah, Thomas, can I make an attempt at phrasing a motion that also includes what you just said there?
Please.
Okay, so let's see if I get your intent. So I move that we apply the FHIR path invariant as proposed by Brian Postlethwaite on the screen, with the indication in the text of the ticket that that invariant is applied to observation so that the scope of that expression triggers validation for each observation. Does that capture the intent of what we want to do?
Yep. That's what thank you much, Lori.
I'll second.
Yeah. As Lori mentioned, what I heard actually, I assume my understanding is from your words as the within each observation
Yeah.
instance. Thank you.
Mike, are you?
Yeah, I've got Lorraine motioned, Elliot seconded. Can you remind what's the next step? What am I calling for?
Any further discussion?
Any further discussion from the group?
I'll say it for you. Hearing none. Any abstentions? Any objections? The motion passes 10-0.
Great. Thank you, Elliot. Right.
It doesn't have to be 900 because
I don't think we ever actually established whether the chair is a voting.
I don't think Sheridan's been counted, but it doesn't
All
matter.
right, we can go with 900.
Okay. Thanks, folks. Here's another excellent thing. Okay, so I've captured the motion. We've got the text. I've got that copied, so I can add that in the ticket as well, and I'll just provide this to Sheridan afterward, as far as the takeaway and the text to apply to the ticket. So that'll get handled. Awesome. Okay. Excellent. Well, thanks very much, folks, for doing that. So as far as the and sorry, just as a quick check, Elliot, anything else from my end that I need to facilitate as far as the motion and decisions, or was that it?
That's it. I would suggest passing it off to Sheridan, who can enter it into the ticket.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. And thanks everyone for your help with the facilitation on this. Clearly, I don't have a good command of how some of that goes. But I appreciate the group support there. As far as main agenda items, this was our main one for today. When I had chatted with Sheridan, the main other stuff that we would do with the time remaining would be to look at any of the other open issues and discuss them and basically just go down the line. Um, with about 20 minutes remaining, I'm wondering if I can just check with this group if we feel that 20 minutes is enough time to really open up and discuss on any of the different issues, or if folks would prefer just to have some like to tackle those on a different occasion. Just wondering if anyone has a perspective on that. I frankly I'm not sure how much time it's needed to tackle some of these issues.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look at the issues in the backlog, and I don't see any that jump out at me as being quick. 20-minute, or even 5-minute up, down.
Okay. Alrighty.
It's worth presenting for people to go away and think about. Like, not to try to answer today, but just to put the question on the table.
Mhm. Yeah. Nope. Happy to do that, Lorraine. Would it
I
be
don't have the screen, so I don't know.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I will I'll shift over to the issue log. Um the top one right now, most recently, is removal of profile and page. Um And so, I mean, like, I can just go from top down, unless there are any that folks had as a particular one they wanted to put in front of the group, for some contemplation and takeaway.
Yeah, I saw we had a thumbs up from Piers. I'm not sure which statement that was too, but
That was just me
So,
agreeing that I think we should use this time to do some quick review.
Okay.
so I'll say 2507 is for the removal of the smoking status profile and page. And it appears that we've got a motion on it that's already been approved.
I thought we already voted on that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If we look at 2506,
Okay.
it says, should we even have this? So I think it's duplicative of 2507.
Okay. Removing
Okay, there we go. We found one we can handle in 5 minutes.
there we go. Yeah. Okay, so I can flag as well that '07 and '06. '07 looks like it was motioned in that '06 might be a duplicate. I can move down to 2505. Um, duplicative profile mechanism. Observation results profile has both an invariant and a fixed value for value quantity slice that enforces these. Do we really need both duplicative and mechanical rule?
So for this one, I mean, we've just spent however many weeks talking about the invariant that creates a warning for the use if you use anything other than UCOM. It seems silly to have a profiling that requires use of UCOM if we want to warn when you don't. You'll never end up triggering both. So I'd say it certainly sounds like the fixed value is redundant to the invariant we've just agreed to apply.
Yeah, so that one is not quite a duplicate, but I agree it is no longer needed. So I think we should propose a motion to find that persuasive, or maybe even not persuasive with Maud, in that the requirement is covered by the solution we just provided to whatever ticket number that was.
Yeah, I would agree, and with the um, with a friendly amendment to request removal of the fixed value.
Yes, makes sense. Sorry, I'm flying blind here, so.
Yep.
And so, sorry, did I hear that right? That the motion would be to remove the fixed value?
Yeah, as redundant to the invariant that we've just agreed to in the other ticket.
Yes. So that does definitely need a not persuasive mod. Well, I don't think we have those caps here, but anyway.
No, we aren't.
We don't have, sorry, what here?
When you dispose a ticket, classifying how it's being disposed. This is persuasive. This is not persuasive. This is persuasive with some modification to what was requested. It's how HL7 handles their bug tracking.
And okay, so for this
So,
one, do we feel like
motion to remove the fixed value as it's duplicative of the invariant. And then we might want to put in brackets, which is to be updated in whatever the other ticket is.
the relevant ticket?
And I think that was Lorraine moving, and I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Any abstentions? Alrighty. So would that be motion carries 900 like we did the last one?
Depending whether we include you or not.
Oh,
I
Eight
think,
or
I think
nine
now
to
it's gonna be
00.
800 because we only have 9 people.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Pretty well, I can comment that, and then again, I'll work with.
Before you hit comment,
Hmm.
typically we put Lorraine's initials and my initials before it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
LC/ES.
Like so?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ready. Awesome. Okay. Well, we can keep moving down with the time remaining. This is for the device profile implantable, CA device 1 and CA device 2. Current invariant is creating an error in the validation of the profile, likely due to placement on the profile. Invariant originally came from the US core, but has not received any further feedback for or against on device profiles to date. Note that in the guide, it has been paused until further feedback. So we actually, looks like there was a motion on this.
Yeah.
Correct technical issues that are resulting in the error and compromising to bring the invariant to a may and information severity as an invariant. We may revisit this in the entire profile at a later point. Okay. Any value in continuing to discuss this? It sounds to me like just from this that this was already discussed a few months ago. Is there
Yeah,
any new
no.
information to prompt us to discuss it further?
No.
Okay. Okay. So this is community issue type slicing challenges with reprofiling. So this is from 6 months ago. Recent discussions with patient summary implementers, the current slicing on JHN, jurisdictional health number, was identified as being somewhat challenging if a reprofiler wants to further slice, since JHN is a very wide type that covers many distinct identifiers. For example, if you want profiling logic to enforce that a specific type of JHN is always provided. For example, provide at least a ULI or PHN with type of JHN. Many identifiers in the URI registry share the same type of JHN, and then there's a link provided to the Canadian URI registry in the naming system. While these types of constraints may not be absolutely necessary to mechanically enforce, through profiling, they highlight the challenges that can sometimes occur when attempting to reslice slices for further discrimination within a given slice. The proposal is that the baseline discuss what benefits we get from slicing as a base that aren't otherwise met by the example element. Any comments or discussion items on this as far as this topic?
Yeah, I think this is sort of related to the challenge Piers brought up to us last week around attempting to reslice and provide constraints when the baseline already had a slice against it. I'm not sure where we end up with the solution, but it is a challenge certainly that has come up more than once.
Yeah, and my feeling is that the slicing is, like I say, it's a black art, it's confusing, and it may be an impediment to people, but it's also a useful guideline for how things are going to look. I mean, slicing is an important part of not just the final profile, but also the baseline profile. So I don't have any answers. I'm in my case with the challenges that I was running into, because I'm on a tight timeline, but it's not for actual publication yet. I've just dropped the dependencies to the CA baseline. At some point, I'm going to come back to that, and then I'll have a better opinion about how painful slicing can be. But I do think the ideal would be you have a slice for JHN, and then, dependent profiles can add further slices without too much impediment. It's a really wishy-washy answer.
Well, this is one of those things that it might be worthwhile adding a question on Zula about the appropriate way to provide more constraints in a profile against an element that's already sliced.
Can we
I don't
bring up?
rephrase. Go ahead, Elliot.
I don't understand what the challenge is. You can add logic to require JHN. You can add logic to require particular, just to further slice JHN to be, we want to always see a Ontario health number. I don't know what the constraint is that people are trying to work around, or the challenge.
It's true that the challenge that I ran into wasn't creating an additional slice. That it was then making changes to the making restrictions on the existing slice. And the phrasing in here was identified as being somewhat challenging is not very illustrative of anything. Because, yeah, slicing is somewhat challenging and restrictions based on slicing is somewhat challenging, but that is the point of having a baseline and then extending that into other profiles. So I think it's just that the tools that we're using are somewhat challenging. And maybe if we can figure out what some of the problems are and provide better guidance about how to take an existing slice and add additional slices to it without causing problems. Like I say, it's a wishy-washy answer, but I think that somewhat challenging. Yeah, this is all somewhat challenging. I don't know that it actually makes the problem go away by saying, oh, we're not going to create a slice for JHN. Because I do think it's useful to say, well, this is what you should be doing. You should be starting with the JHN and then building, local identifiers on top of that. And it makes perfect sense.
I mean, slicing is the mechanism that the FHIR standard has chosen to do certain types of profiling. Um, I'd suggest, um, was this an issue you brought up?
No.
No. Okay.
No,
Um,
Lorraine just brought that up because it was the kind of top of mind because we were talking about it last week. But
uh,
I think this is just other people have run into challenges with working with extensions of slices in the baseline.
well, my suggestion would be to try and get some examples and let's see what the challenge is. What are people trying to say that they're having problems with? And that might give some direction as to, well, do we need to relax the slice, or do we need to do we need to educate? Is this a issue that we should solve, or that should be elevated up to uh, the base standard? I think with some specific examples, we could figure out what needs to be done.
But to the last sentence, proposing that the baseline group discuss what benefits we get from slicing that aren't otherwise met by the example element. I think that it's just my opinion. I'm curious what other people think, but the benefits of slicing in the baseline are that it clearly illustrates not just what the direction should be, but also how the reprofiling should be carried out by further slicing. Like it is the mechanism we're supposed to be using for that sort of thing. So we should probably be using that mechanism. It's just that it proves to be somewhat challenging. But I agree with the comment that like I would like to come back to the group with the actual issue that I was running into if I can't solve it myself.
Mhm. And with that in mind, so I've just added a comment here, just generally speaking, that looking at some examples of these would help the full group sort of better understand the challenges and what to be done. Piers, would it be appropriate to use the specific example that you're grappling with? Like, would that be appropriate, or do you feel it'd be better just to have sort of a collection of different ones as well?
I think probably a collection.
Okay. Alrighty. And so what I'll do is I'll relay this as sort of a potential future agenda item. I don't know about like first up or if it's just one for a future call, but I'll make sure to relay that as well. And so but I can also just flag that that this is something that you had or are currently running into just for the group's context, but that some like a multiplicity of ones could be shown to help see.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, cool. All right, folks. Well, with I think about 4 minutes left, I think it's probably appropriate just to wrap up there. I think great that we were able to get to the sort of the main agenda item and have that decision and that get carried over. It sounded like from the group, it's one that had been quite a few different sessions have been spent kind of going over it. So glad that we got a resolution. And then it looks like we were able to kind of just sift through some of those top of the pile issues. So that's great as well. Um, so as I mentioned, so I'll be posting the recording on I'll be uploading that as well as the deck used to Info Central. And yeah, I'll just be sort of providing the notes and the main takeaways over to Sheridan just so that when she's back, she's all caught up. But yeah, just really appreciate everyone's taking the time. Certainly appreciate your patience with me, sort of getting still obviously caught up with some of these things. But yeah, I think with that, I'm going to I'll just wish everyone a great weekend and yeah, look forward to the next time we all get to reconvene.
Be all at FHIR North next week.
Excellent. Yes, really looking forward to it. Awesome.
Good
Thank
point.
you. And Mike, you need to show up more often.
Yes, I know I do. My Friday afternoons tend to be my design workshop days, but every once in a while I do get a break. So we're very
Are
happy.
you coming to the networking event, Mike?
Sorry?
Are you coming to the networking event for FHIR North?
Oh, hell yeah. No, I'll be
All
there.
right, I'll see you there.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
All right.
Alrighty, folks. Have a good one.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.